Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Grant Talks Funny Bits. We always have some kind of technical issue. Hopefully this week is going to be the week when it doesn't happen. So do let me know if you can hear me okay. We are going out to Facebook and YouTube. We are live streaming. Richard Cole, good day from Canada. Richard Cole, fantastic to have you on. And first comment as well this week, Richard, that Canadian internet must be doing well this week. So, yeah, we do always kind of joke about the solar flares in Canada does affect the internet as well. Sound is good. Oh, this is doing well. Looks good. Thank you very much, Richard. So tonight's guest, or this afternoon's guest, depending where you're watching from, is a very successful hypnotist. Does a lot of stuff around the world. And to be fair, he is actually fairly local to me from here, but he spends most of his time working abroad and is a very well-respected hypnotist, author, TV hypnotist, and hypnotherapist as well. So it'd be good to talk about the difference between the stage stuff and the therapy stuff. And also, he is the chairman, the head honcho of an organization called FESH, which is the Federation of Ethical Stage Hypnotists. So feel free to ask him about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for the one and only Mr. Alan Bates. There we go.
Thank you, Richard.
So, Alan, you're currently in, I believe you're in Liverpool at the moment.
Yes, I live and based in Liverpool. Absolutely fabulous city.
Yes.
You know, for historical reasons, the Beatles and just everything else. Music scene is fantastic. The comedy scene is good. But I've played it out for many years, Liverpool, and most of my work is traveling, probably like most hypnotists. I mean, we've obviously been shafted for the last 18 months, all of us, with COVID. And it seems really strange, sort of getting back into it, dipping your toe back in, as to speak. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of your work is international. I've seen a lot of your stuff. You did a lot of the comedy festivals in Asia, Jakarta, Singapore. You're very famous in Malta. A friend of mine, Andrew, was telling me all about you. You were a guest on his show as well. You're a regular on Maltese TV. You're a regular on TV around the world. Tell us about the beginning. What first got you into hypnosis? What was your first experience with hypnosis?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, to everybody that's listening here, everybody who's a practicing stage hypnotist, when you were at school, you never ever thought for one moment that you were going to take the stage and be a hypnotist. It's just something that most people wouldn't even dream about. I was led into it in an interesting way, and it's actually in my autobiography, the full story. But as we've only got a limited time this evening, I'll give you a background to it. I left school as an engineer a long time ago, and I got invited to go and work in the casino on board cruise ships. I was also working as a DJ, as a nightclub DJ, radio DJ, did a bit of acting, went to America in 1979 and ended up managing a casino for 3 years on board cruise ships based out of Miami, the Biscayne Boulevard, Miami. Made a lot of friends. It really changed my life. And one night, it's a bit of a crazy story actually, but it is a true story. It was as a young cheeky English boy working in America, and the cruise ships being party ships. One night I was with a young lady. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had no introduction to hypnosis. Didn't even know what it was. And we had this Scottish illusionist guy who was really good at what he did. But he had a drink problem. Basically, when he had had a few drinks, he was obnoxious. He was a pain in the arse, and you just wouldn't want him in your company when he'd been drinking. When he was sober, he was fine. So anyway, he comes wobbling in at 1 o'clock in the morning into the nightclub, and I'm with this young lady, and I thought, oh my goodness, he's going to ruin it. So anyway, he said, look, he said, I said, I'll give you $5 if you go away. And he said, no, I'll give you $5 if I make this young lady leave you within 5 minutes. And I went, $5, 5 minutes. I looked at her and she said, you can pay me $500. I'm staying with Alan. So I thought, I'm on a winner here. You know, I've done all the groundwork.
Yeah,
I'm definitely on for a bit of fun. So anyway, so he takes her off. He takes her away from me, sits her at a table about 10 feet away and starts talking to her. Next thing, her head went down. She came over and she went, good night, Alan. Good night, John, and walked off. And I went, what have you done? That was a guarantee. cert for a party afterwards.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said, I hypnotized her. And I went, bollocks. I said, I don't believe that. It's a load of nonsense. So anyway, I give him his $5, and we ended up having a couple of drinks. So that was my introduction to hypnosis. And then I came back to the UK in 1981, I think it was. And I started working in nightclubs again. I was comparing, DJing, these cabaret clubs. And then we booked a comedy stage hypnotist from your neck of the woods. Can't even remember his name. It was such a long time ago. I think he's passed away now. And anyway, and I thought, this is bringing back memories of my experience in America. So I looked more into it. It was before the days of the internet. So I studied psychology through the books, the library books, really hard going as well, you know, for a young guy trying to get your head around with no help from anybody.
Yeah.
And then, so I had the entertainment background, you know, the ability to, you know, to command a stage, command an audience. And then I did the psychological side, put them together. That's where we get comedy stage hypnosis from. And then it went from there. And I started working the rough backstreet clubs in Liverpool. And if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So then it went from there through television, theatre. I used to do theatres and promote them myself. And, you know, sometimes you can come away with a shed load of money in a wheelbarrow. Or sometimes you can break even, sometimes you could lose. But, you know, it was a long time ago. So that's what I was doing. And then I met so many interesting people on the way. And then I started touring overseas. Just to give you just a breakdown, I've worked about 3 or 4 times in Bali. One hell of a way to go for a show, I can tell you. Singapore, my favorite place. I used to have a really great reputation in Singapore. So a lot of people still, a lot of fans in Singapore. My favorite place ever. Absolutely. There's no getting away from it. I've worked there many, many times. Not done television over there, but done many radio interviews. And then Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, and over to Indonesia, to Jakarta, many, many times. And we're going to be opening an office as soon as they lift the barriers with COVID. And I've got a TV contract lined up. I've done television work over there before, and Malaysia. I was the first stage hypnotist to work in Malaysia, in KL, which was quite interesting. And then at one of the festivals, they bought the rights to my TV show for my performance, which was a bonus because I would have given it to them for nothing if they'd asked. But they offered me quite a lot of US dollars, so I took it, sold it to them. So I'm going back there to work. I've got my agent, manager all set. We're all ready to go, but we're waiting for COVID to lift. Malta was the big one. Went over there 20 years ago, and I'm still going over every month now. Did a lot of live performances many years ago. A lot of television, lots and lots of television. And that is the way. If you want to make it big, forget your radio interviews, forget getting your name up on the internet. You need to do TV. You know, you've got to, but not just TV. You've got to strike it with a good, you know, a good TV channel.
I think going back to kind of a couple of points that you made, I also think it's really interesting to see that the people that are really successful at this are the ones that kind of have a presentation or an entertainment background before the hypnosis. Because like you said, it's about the being a good presenter and using that to be entertaining as such, and hypnosis is just a vehicle. But then you also mentioned about the rough kind of working men's clubs, or the, you know, that grassroots comedy scene, where I think you've got to cut your teeth in that market. And I think a lot of people these days starting out, you know, we have this this talent show TV era where people kind of learn in the bedroom and then they want to go straight onto television without kind of putting in that work beforehand. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the working men's clubs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very choosy where I work now. I don't do pubs. I don't do bars. I work with the. I work in the corporate market. A great one is universities as well. I used to do freshers tours throughout September, October, and that's another one of my great audience. But yeah, if you know. You've got to have charisma. You've got to have that presence. I feed off the energy. I even after all of these years, I've been doing these shows all around the world for royal families and meeting people, you know, celebrities, and being in the company of really interesting people. I'm nervous before every show, and I think anybody that thinks they're not, you know, I treaded the boards. I must have done thousands of miles backstage.
Yeah.
And then your intro comes on, the curtain parts, and it's ladies and gentlemen. And live TV is another one. I used to do a lot of live television, and the nerves before that, I used to burn myself out before I'd go on stage with the, you know, that adrenaline.
Yeah, I always say that just before I go on stage, I'm happy for either the ship to sink, for me to get run over by a car, or for anything to happen. But the moment that intro starts, it comes alive.
Yeah, and I think once you've got them feeding in your hand, once you've got that audience feeding in your hand, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what stare or gaze you give them, and you've won them over, that's it. You're in then, and it's. But even after all these years, I much prefer live work. You know, performing to live audiences. I really love what I do, and I think I've been blessed to have a job that's really cool, really interesting. That takes even just touring in the United Kingdom. You don't realize, so the guys in the UK, how many beautiful towns and provinces we've got until you go. And what I always do is when I'm staying over, I try to get back home to Liverpool when I can. But if you're traveling, Google the interesting facts about where you're going. So you get there in the morning, or you're staying overnight or whatever, then go and have a look around the town, see these, look at the history, take that on board as well, you know, and it's all part of the journey. You go to places that you've never ever even heard of.
You're so right, because there was for years when I would go to places and people go, "Oh, what was that like?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I kind of, you know, I got out, I arrived, I did the show, got in the car and left." And you don't. It's. I think you've got to enjoy being on the road, whether it be driving, flying, or something like that. Yeah. Quick question from Richard Cole: can you still do a full series on TV with Hypnosis?
If you've got the content, I mean, obviously there's the you've got to be careful with Ofcom, but any decent production company over in the UK, well, anywhere in the world, because you know it's unethical to broadcast a hypnotic induction live on television, because if you're good at what you do, you've got these little old ladies making their tea, sitting there, lock your hands together, oh, asleep, and next thing the dinner's on fire in the oven, kitchen's on fire, you know, so. You know, there's ethics involved, and Ofcom in the United Kingdom are very strict with what you can broadcast. And with everything that's gone on now with social media, and also with some of these reality shows, you know, going tits up, it's creating problems. But you do it right, do it properly, and it's a great profession.
Yeah,
so, and I just still love it after all these years.
It's right what you're saying there about doing it right and doing it properly. I think sometimes when people are first starting out, they can chase the reaction from the audience and will maybe push a skit a bit further than it should go in order to get that reaction. Rather than being entertaining, it's a bit more shocking. Or they're doing it where they'll leave volunteers on stage that they probably shouldn't keep up there because they're worried about numbers on stage. And so it is important, I mean, you know, to do an ethical stage hypnosis show, because we are kind of all the best promotion, the best advert for what we do.
One thing I'd like to impart for any newbies that are coming into this, and that is there's different horses for different courses. You know, if you're going to do a stag do, a wedding do, and the guys want it raw, you know, that's fine. And there are hypnotists that will do that. I prefer more on the family, cheeky, but not just too over the top. And the advice I would give to a lot of stage hypnotists is go away, give them a fantastic show, make them laugh, make them talk about it for weeks after, but don't go over. You don't need to go over the top.
No,
you don't need to, you know, to make somebody feel really bad afterwards. You can be really cheeky and you can be a little bit rude, but just hold it back from, you know, making that mistake.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of hypnotists go over the top. I've had a laugh myself watching it, but I thought, oh no, I couldn't bring myself. I'm an ethical guy, and I like to entertain people. But you can't. Well, this is me personally. You know, I can do stag do's, you know, and I can do a lot of the stuff that a lot of other hypnotists do. But I never take it over the top. And well, it'd be difficult for me to do that because I'm the chairman of FESH, the Federation of Ethical Stage Hypnotists. Now, for the overseas, this program, this podcast has come at a brilliant time because we're on a recruitment drive at the moment The Federation of Ethical Stage Hypnotists is the longest serving body to stage hypnotists. We have funding. We have a lot of funding. I'm not going to talk about finance, but we do have a lot of funding. I don't think there's any organization that has that. We have all professional members, and we have a chairman, a treasurer, we have an administrator, we have an AGM once a year. And the things that we can offer you as an affiliate member from another country, what I would suggest you do is go to our website, and it's fesh.co.uk. Go to the website, and our administrator is Steve Brolin. He's a hell of a nice guy. If you've got any questions, you want to join, there is criteria, there is membership rules that you've got to abide by. But the thing is, what we can offer is a lot of information. We are known by British Equity. We are known by insurance companies. We are known by all the councils. For the overseas hypnotists that are watching today, if you want to book a public show in the UK, you have to apply for permission.
Yep.
If it's a private show, you don't need to. But if you're doing a theatre show and you're expecting 500 people in, and if you don't go through the proper channels, you could be going to work that night, and the council could walk in and say, "Where's your license? I haven't got one." Right? So FESH, we help members. We have councils actually contacting us to give them guidance on the 1952 Hypnosis Act and the Home Office model conditions.
I must admit, for the people abroad, the 1952 Hypnotism Act it's such a weird thing in the UK, and it's bizarre that a lot of councils, you contact them and they sometimes don't know.
They don't know. They're absolutely blind. They don't know. There are some councils that won't even bother replying back to you when you apply for permission. There are councils in London that charge me or charge my clients on top of my fee, roughly, I think, 500 quid just for a license, and that's going to outprice on, that's on top of your fee. So it's going to outprice a lot of, and it's going to be a hindrance to work. So, but yeah, have a think about joining FESH, guys, whether you're in the United Kingdom or whether you want to become an affiliate to FESH. A great bunch of guys with vast amounts of knowledge with stage hypnosis. Yeah. Trust me, I've been a member now for 20, is it 27, 20, a long time anyway, 30 years maybe.
I know FESH has, there's been there used to be quite not a stigma, that's the wrong word to use to it, but it did used to be quite a closed shop to a lot of hypnotists.
Oh, absolutely.
Which
it was,
in one sense, it was a good thing because it was slightly elitist. And I think that's a good thing to have sometimes with an organization. You want the members to be at the top of their game as such. But yeah,
if we go back years ago when I joined, there was Peter Casson, who, people won't remember Peter Casson now, but he was massive. He was huge. And he was running FESH, and it was rather elitist, and you had to be special to get in. I joined, and I think it's a very good thing to do. Also, British Equity guys, if you're in the United Kingdom, if you're not a member of Equity, get in there. We can open the door for you as well if you're a member of FESH. So if you're just joining and you want to, get yourself involved, because the more people that you mix with in this community, the more knowledge you gain, the more information that you will learn. And also, if there's hypnotist gigs that people are double booked for, we swap it around.
Yeah, exactly. And it is about building that community of other stage hypnotists, because the more good we can do, the better shows we can do, the more we can help each other out, the better the industry gets. In this country especially, stage hypnosis went through a really dark place where bookings pretty much stopped. And it's we're just coming out of that now, and and then COVID happens. Natasha's put a great question, and it's a bit controversial, but we'll not name names. But she says, how do you deal with those trying to exploit the loopholes?
Well, you can exploit them. I mean, if you're doing a hypnosis show for research purposes, and I've actually done that once. I did that once a long time ago because I had a show booked. And the council tried to pull the show. It was a public show. It was a paying ticketed show. So I just turned it around and said it's for research purposes. And I got everybody's name and address. The people who were hypnotized got their information. So I did it all by the book. But you don't want to be doing that. You want to rock up for your gig if you're on tour. Sell your soul to the audience. give them a great time, get paid and move on. You know, payments, it can be very, very lucrative. But obviously you start off, if you're going to be doing the pubs and the working men's clubs, there's a limit on what you can get for that. But if you do the corporate market, and if you do theatres and you take the risk with theatres, unless you do a deal with them, a percentage deal, there's a lot of money to be made. There's you know, over the years, it's been very, very, very kind to me, should we say.
One of the things that you did a few years ago that I thought was really clever at the time as well, you teamed up with TV celebrity psychic Derek Okora, and he did his medium side, and you did a past life regression show. How did that go?
Absolutely fantastic. Derek and I were friends before he made it famous on TV. I mean, I've done lots of television and I'm famous a little bit. Derek Okora was the pinnacle, you know, and once you get that fame on TV, when you tour with your theatre show around whatever country you're in, people will come out the woodwork to see you anyway. And you can make an incredible, now, you know, I don't like talking about money personally, but you can make in excess of 12,000 quid a night.
Wow.
A night, 1 hour show. Where are we tomorrow night? Same again. You know, there's a lot of money to be made. But you know, Derek and I had a special relationship. We were really good friends, and our wives at the time were good friends as well. And sadly, he passed away 2 years ago. Do you know what? It was COVID. It wasn't acknowledged at the time because it was just as COVID was coming out, but he had all the symptoms. Yeah, but Derek and I started, and he phoned me up one day and said, my spirit guide said, we're going to work together. And I thought, well, how is a comedy stage hypnotist and a psychic medium going to work together? So anyway, we had lunch, we put it together, and we put the paranormal experience together, and it literally took off. We were selling out. We tied in with the local radio station. We were selling out all the small venues, but making good money, but having a really good time. And whether you liked Derek or not, whatever your viewpoints are, whatever your religious views are, wherever you look at this, the psychic world, Derek has done stuff that beyond any reasonable doubt. I don't get suckered into stuff very easy. I don't suffer fools gladly either. Derek was the real deal. He'll tell you what you had for breakfast this morning. He did amazing.
And it's a good example of kind of being a bit creative and putting a show together that's slightly different. You know, it's not
slanting it round, still using hypnosis, but past life regression. But what you're going to be very careful of there. I mean, I think every hypnotist has always got on stage and think, am I going to pull it off? Am I going to get enough subjects? Are they going to be nice to me? Are they going to be kind? Is it going to work? Am I going to go on my arse? And yeah, I've gone on my arse. Not that many times, but it has happened. You know, and you know when you go out there and you give 100%, and you know you do your best, and sometimes it doesn't always go the way you want it to go. A lot of the time, it's not the hypnotist's fault. It could be. I mean, I remember doing a tour. I toured the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, for 10 years running. We used to do a tour of the Emirates, Sharjah, Al-Ain, Doha, Bahrain, Dubai, and we'd do that for 10 years running. And red carpet treatment, absolute red carpet treatment, and the trappings that go with it, and the people that you meet, and the parties that you have, and everything else. And then I came back to Liverpool, and I did a show which I didn't want to do, but I did. And I walked in, and everyone was smoking weed. Everyone was off their heads, totally off the tits. And I stood on stage and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, good evening." And nobody even looked at the stage, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, get me out of here." But they're the kids. That's how, you know, as you cut your teeth, as you finally put it before, Grant.
Yeah, it's there's something about those first few moments when you engage with that audience, when you sense their energy. You know, every now and then you get, like you said, you kind of put it out there, and then nothing comes back, and you're like, now we're gonna have to dig in now
and work really hard. Yeah.
I mean, you told us about that show. I always like to ask guests about the most challenging shows that they've had and what lessons they've learned from it, because I think, you know, we learn more from the times when we want the stage to swallow us up. You know, tell us about your most challenging show.
Oh, I had lots of challenging shows. I've probably forgot most of them. You know, you tend to remember the good ones and try to push. basically suppress the bad ones. No, but I'm just trying to think now. Great question. I remember I did a private performance for the Sultan of Brunei, which is the richest family in the world at the time, Princess Gita and Hanak Hamida. It was a 15th birthday party, and I was invited. MC Hammer, the singer MC Hammer, was due to perform for it, and he pulled out the gig, and it was offered to me, and I did it. I won't tell you how much I got paid, but it was very interesting. It was at they have several palaces. They're not called, but they're called houses: House 1, House 2, House 3. And this particular gig I did, I'll always remember it. It was an afternoon gig, 2 o'clock kickoff. It was 2 o'clock showtime. It was Your Royal Highnesses, Princess Gita and Hanak Hamida, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And I always remember that intro because it's not every day that you're performing for royalty.
Yeah.
And there's only 30 people in the in the audience. Nobody had an idea what it was about. So nobody knew what a hypnotist was.
Yeah.
It was really, really challenging. But I pulled it off, made them laugh. But it was not one of the best shows.
Yeah.
But I asked Princess Amida, could I use by royal appointment as an addendum on my letterhead? So she said, yeah. So that's where you get elevated by royal appointment.
Fantastic. And that's a great moniker to have as well. One of the interesting things about working around the world is, I mean, a lot of people say Americans are the easiest to hypnotize. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know you've done a lot of work in Asia. You've done stuff in the Middle East and in Liverpool. Which are the best audiences and which are the easiest to hypnotize?
That is a really great question. Americans, I've actually done shows in the States. I used to live in the States. I've got an American daughter.
Oh, wow.
The Americans are dead easy. Canadians are easy as well. British people, you get your cynics, of course you do. Win them over, and then But no, Americans, basically cultured Westerners. I'm telling you now, the Asian people are slightly. You can hypnotize them, but they have a different mindset.
Yeah.
And I remember Ken Webster saying to me, I think he's been on your show before, friend of ours, Ken. He's in FESH, because Ken used to do the tours of the Middle East as well, at the same time as I did many years ago. And he said, you'll have real trouble, hypnotizing certain cultures. That's all I'm going to say at this point. And he is right, absolutely right. Yeah. But when you're working out there, you're always going to have Europeans. You're going to have the French, the Australians, the Americans, the Canadians, the Brits, so you're going to have a bit mixing pot. Yeah. And I remember one night in Dubai, I can't remember which venue it was at, but it might have been the Brits Club. That's Abu Dhabi, isn't it? The Brits Club. It was might have been Carter's. Anyway, I remember having a guy from Liverpool, an American, Canadian, a guy from Israel, South Africa, Poland, and I think I had one from, it was one of the Middle East countries. So you're very safe with the expats if you're working abroad.
Yeah. Richard says, which culture or / nation is the best audience?
Best audience? Well, that's a great question, that, Richard. Yeah. I mean, I love everywhere I work. I really do. I mean, Britain. I love Britain. If you can entertain the Brits, if you can do Scotland on a Saturday night in Glasgow and get a full house and get a standing ovation and not get rotten bananas and eggs thrown at you.
Well, just to interrupt. When you talk about most challenging shows, I did the Shed in Annan, the home of the Tartan Army, when Scotland were playing England. I've walked out, and when you say about the energy, I've walked out and gone, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," and you've never seen 250 Scots go fucking English and turn his back to
the you know what? I do really well in Scotland, and I love working in Scotland. And one routine I do towards the end of my show is I give them all a Union Jack and get them to play out with the Land of Hope and Glory. Yeah. Well, you can't do that in Ireland. You can't do that in Scotland, and you can't do that in Wales. You can't even give them a Union Jack. You've got to give them a Scottish flag. Yeah. But they love it,
Yeah.
But great question, Richard in Canada. you know yourself, you can go into some venues and think, wow, I'm going to do really well here, and then just come off mediocre. Just do your best.
Yeah.
Do your best. Use all your skills that you've learned.
I think
Be
that's why.
yourself.
Yeah, I think it's
And
why it's
never
important.
copy other hypnotist material. That's taboo.
Yeah.
If you're gonna rip somebody's show off, that's bang out of order.
Yeah.
What I would suggest is take something that somebody's doing and make it better.
Yeah. Make it
in
your
a
own.
different slant, a different angle, but
Yeah.
don't copy it word by word, routine by routine.
Yeah.
That's unfair, because there's a lot of hard work that's gone into people writing shows and material,
And
and then people walk away and then,
you know, after when you do a show repeatedly, you know, sometimes where that just the look at the audience at the right time with a facial expression gets that reaction, and you know that that's what makes that work. It's not the skin,
and
it's that
you
look.
can do that in a theater, in a big stage, when people are seated looking at you.
Yeah.
You can just stand on the end of the stage and just put your head down like this, just shake your head, and that'll get as many laughs as as the routine that you're doing.
Yeah. Richard Cole says, yeah, it sounds like you're speaking from experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working the stage now for 40 years, and I love what I do. And it's all about, no matter what job you do, it doesn't matter whether you're street cleaner, solicitor, policeman, fire officer, whatever, you have to get results.
Yeah.
And in our job, you've really got to get results, because you either go on stage and you do a good show, or you go on stage and you get booed off. And I've never been, touch wood, give me a bit some wood. I've never been booed off. Yeah. I've had challenging shows. Yeah. I'll tell you a great one. I was in Winchester, and it was a little small theatre, holds about 200. And it just goes to show you can prove yourself wrong. And this is going back now, probably about 15 years ago. And I was due to start the show at 2-hour theatre show with a break, 8 o'clock, and the doors opened. It was fully sold out, and it was all grey rinse. It was all old people. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to really have to work. I'm going to have to change my routines to suit this audience.
Yeah. And
then they're all coming in, and they're all really old, And I thought, oh my goodness. And then I thought, okay, we'll work around this. I only need 4 or 5 subjects, and I'll bring the house down. Started my music, ladies, and sound packed up. Lights went off, sound system went off. They got the lights back on, no sound. So I'm stuck with an audience now, a grey rinse audience, with no music, no routines, and using my voice instead of a microphone. Acoustics were great. And you know what? I had one of the best memorable shows I've ever had. Because I would say, like, we're doing the piano sketch. I would say, so, ladies and gents, this is what would happen now. We would play Nina Simone, My Baby Just Cares For Me, and you're all going to play the piano. So you're all going to hum Nina Simone, My Baby Just Cares For Me. 1, 2, 3, wide awake. So no music, and the whole audience were on my side, singing, while the participants, the stars were all playing the piano. So I actually talked, and you know what? I came off at the end of the night. Bloody hard work.
Yeah.
But did I enjoy it? And I thought, wow, what a great show.
Yeah. And I think I can imagine the audience really enjoying that as well, because whenever they get involved as well, especially if they're doing the music.
They felt for me.
Yeah.
That they felt for me. They could see that I had no music, no microphone, and I was having to elevate my voice. And do you know what? I couldn't have wished for a better audience.
Brilliant.
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
And I got a standing ovation as well. Got a standing ovation at the end of the show.
Fantastic. That's, like you said, that once the audience gets behind you, even if it's not going the way you planned, they'll go with you. That is
absolutely.
Yeah.
Just do your best. Always do your best.
Yeah. I was going to say, I always ask the guests for a tip that they wish they'd been given at the start of their journey. You've already given us quite a few tips there as well. But if you were to give yourself one piece of advice, whether it be about how to break into television, whether it be about performance, what tip do you wish you would have got? Oh, and here's Andrew as well. Andrew says, there we go.
Hi, Andrew. I'm back over in Malta in 2 weeks, so I've got a full schedule. But if you want to do lunch one day, I'm over from the 11th. I'm arriving on the 11th for 7 days, Andrew. So if you want to meet up, we can have a beer, or yeah, okay. You've got my contact details. Let me know what you're up to. Don't speak to my manager Marcy. Just contact me direct, and we'll make a time when we can meet up for a beer, Andrew. Okay. Great question, Grant. Yeah, in fact, yeah, because this is, this show's going out live now. There's no, we haven't discussed anything beforehand.
No.
But yeah, do you know what? I had nothing. I had nobody to ask when I first started this this business, and I was totally enthralled, and I loved every moment of learning. That's one of the biggest things. Is even now, after all these years, sometimes you will learn something and take it away. Be kind to people. Be kind to people. It comes back to you. This business is really, really bitchy. Really bitchy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention any names, but I like to think that I've got a good rapport with everybody I've ever worked with, and I've always been fair, and I've always been honest, and I've never ripped anybody's material off, and that's one of the biggest things. It's a very, very bitchy profession, and that's why you join FESH. And the majority of guys, the mature, especially the new guys, they'll guide you. There's no big egos. I do not do big egos. No way, Jose. I'm not into that whatsoever. Don't feed me bullshit. I don't want to know. Have a beer with me and let's talk about something different. Yeah, great. But no shit.
Andrew kind of says absolutely, and says thanks. Read your books. Speaking of books, we have it as if by magic. It is just there as well. That's your trade secrets book.
Yeah, I started writing. I've written, I think it's 7 books altogether, but I've got 3 good sellers. My latest one is on extraterrestrials and the quantum physics side of It's not hypnosis. There is an element of hypnosis, but it's basically about aliens and disclosure. What's going to happen when you look at Nikola Tesla, energy, frequency, vibration. If you're into this, I'm into it in a big way. That's why I've written, and it's it's the best-selling book I've got. I'm trying to read that message as they come up here.
Yeah,
the criteria for joining David, it's all on the FESH website, mate. It would take me too long to go through it. Come and join us, okay? Come and join us. That's what I would say, and that'll be one of the best tips. Grant, you asked me that question before. What's a good tip that you can give? And I would say, come and join FESH, because you're with like-minded people, no big egos. I will cut big egos off straight away. We're all equal. Okay, I learn off certain people, and especially the new guys can learn off us guys who have been doing it a lot longer, but without the bullshit, without the ego, without ripping people's material off. Come and join us. That's the big one.
Brilliant. I'm just going to put up a link to your book there as well. Alan Bates, Trade Secrets. Great book. I've had it for a while, which is why it's on my cabinet behind us here as well. I love that, Alan. I approach everyone I meet with the same attitude, no matter who they are or what they do. Absolutely.
Thank you, Natasha. You sound like a kind person too. Be kind. It comes round to you. Karma comes round to you in a different way. It really does. Yeah. It really does. Absolutely.
So what's next for you? What's your next project? You said you've got a new TV thing kind of about.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of hypnotherapy as well, and I'm rather successful with that. TV hypnotherapy as well as the stage, combining the two. We've got to restart the United Kingdom. Malta, I have a management team in Malta, as Andrew knows very well, which looks after my interests there. I just rock up and do the work. I'm going to everything is in place in Jakarta for me to go out as soon as COVID lifts. So I've got a fantastic, absolutely amazing management team out there that are going to heavily promote not just Jakarta, but over in Bali again, and Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore as well.
Nice.
Keep your standards high over there, guys. The root stuff doesn't go down too well.
I think it's something we're seeing a lot of now, especially in the UK, with the whole cancel culture and everything else. People's comedy has changed so much now.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
stuff that 10 years ago was filling theatres and was hilarious is now, you know, I've just seen a very well-known blue comedian, again, has just had 2 of his big shows cancelled, not from lack of ticket sales, but because of
Yeah.
the public pressure in order to not promote that type of comedy. And
Well,
I don't know how I feel about that. You know, I'm a big believer that comedy is a way that you can express yourself and let the audiences decide. But yeah, it's yeah, the
yeah,
humor.
I agree with you, Grant, completely. At the end of the day, it's too politically correct.
Yeah,
You know, a joke is a joke. It might be in bad taste, but it doesn't mean to say that the comedian really means that.
yeah.
You know, there's a guy in Liverpool called Frankie Allen who I've worked with.
Yeah.
You know, Frankie.
I've
I've worked
with Frankie a few times. He is one of the funniest people I know. But sometimes you sit there and you go,
Rude. I know him. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
We worked together. There was I'm trying to think. What's his name now from the royal family? My arse. What's his name? Come on, I know him well. Worked with him loads. What's his name? Come on, guys, viewers. What's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. We worked together with Gary Skyner. Do you know Gary, the comedian?
I know Gary well, yeah.
Yeah, well, Gary and I worked together. And Frankie Allen, now you're talking about crude, rude. And I tell you what, I know Frankie. And I tiptoe across the stage when he's on because he is ruthless. He is absolutely, but he's selling out. He's selling all his theatres now.
Do you know what's really great? Like the new form of media is the social media and the TikTok and the Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
Frankie did a routine that somebody recorded on their phone and it just blew up. It got millions of shares. And Frankie's been gigging for as long as I've known gigs. Frankie's been gigging.
Yeah, I've worked with him many times.
Yeah, and that video went viral. And you know, his fee went through the roof, his bookings went through the roof, and he's you know what I mean? And it is that it's why you should always do your best show no matter where you are, because that was literally someone on their phone had recorded his set and shared it, and the whole world saw that clip. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's the old adage, isn't it? You're as good as your last performance.
Yes.
yeah. I said before, always be kind to people, Natasha, because especially on the way up, because you never know when you're going to need them on the way down, you know. And that's the case. But what's forward? I'm going to continue doing what I love doing, and that is entertaining people. Still doing television, but you know, you can't beat live, especially with hypnosis. You can't beat a live performance when you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think stage hypnosis is meant to be on stages. It is meant to be a live performance that you experience. Because when I've seen it on television, it's still funny, but you've always got that, are these people wanting to be on telly? When it's in a venue, when it's on a stage and you can see the whites of their eyes, it's so much more profound.
When they've paid to come and see a comedy stage hypnosis show.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's all about, because they've paid to come and see a comedy hypnotist show. And I've been in the business that long that I've seen it when it was at its pinnacle, where I would be working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights every week.
Wow.
You know, not doing all high profile stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it would be bars around Manchester, Sheffield, Birmingham, around the country. Not for brilliant money, but I was out, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, most of the week. So I've seen it when it's been really popular, really up there, and then I've seen it completely decimated, and then COVID comes along. You know, so it is, you know, people, when you're doing it for a living, and that's where I don't have a part-time job, don't have another job. Hypnosis, whether it's hypnotherapy, you know, when I'm in my downtime at my clinic, or whether it's, you know, so you've got to pay those bills at the end of the day. Yes, Natasha, I'm not too sure if you're based in the UK, but we have an AGM every year, and in February 2022 we are having our AGM, I believe, in Manchester again, and FESH pay for accommodation, FESH pay for your travel expenses wherever you are in the United Kingdom, whether you're flying or driving. And because I'm the chairman, I'm going to take you out to a fantastic, after we have the AGM and we discuss the business, we all go and get pissed going to take you to a great, absolutely brilliant Indian restaurant called Mowgli's. And that's Indian chef that's on the TV. I don't know her name. She lives like 5 doors away from me.
Oh, wow.
So she owns all the Mowgli's, and if you haven't been, go. They are the best Indian restaurants around. Street food, brilliant. So we're going there in Manchester in February. Hopefully, I'll have to have a word with Martin Taylor, our treasurer, to make sure that he's going to release some funds for that, but it'll all be expenses on. So come and join FESH.
Yeah. Richard Cole says, where do you see hypnosis shows in the next 7 years? What will keep them fresh?
Right. People that all the newbies that are coming, I don't mean entertainers, I'm talking about whole new audiences are coming in now. So the teenagers now who are joining university have never seen a hypnotist before. That's when they're exposed to it. So there's always new people being introduced to hypnosis and stage hypnosis, and that's the way it will always be. Keep your show fresh, keep your show alive. A lot of hypnotists, and including myself, can be a little bit complacent, because once you get a polished act and you know it works, you can take that act and do it in your sleep.
Yeah,
you can do it and know it's going to work in every way. So you can be a bit complacent in that, and I'm guilty of that. But if you take it into a different audience, it's great. I know the likes of my colleague I mentioned before, Ken Webster. He's the longest hypnotist entertainer in Blackpool some season. He writes a different show every year, which I commend him for that. It's brilliant, because it keeps you on your toes, because if you're going back to see a show, you can't do the same stuff, can you?
Exactly. Alan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. It's been great to talk.
My pleasure to meet you, Grant, as well. And I did my research before I came on the podcast this evening, because I don't do things willy-nilly. But most important, it's lovely to meet you, Grant. But most important, to people who've taken the time to to log in and share our conversation in a topic that we truly love. Do your best, be kind, and come and join FESH. It's been lovely to meet you all. Love you.
Cheers.
Catch you.
See you.
Ciao.
Okay, bye-bye.